Hey guys, my name's Elisa and welcome to episode 9 on this playthrough of The Island. Started off spotting this really cool looking Quetzal, which I figured I would tame later. I don't think I ever got back to it. But I had to redeem myself after the end of last episode and get a tappy. I couldn't let the last one's death be for absolutely nothing. So I spotted this fairly low level, which was super easy to knock out. Got it tamed up, and then I had a massive glitch. I had about 15 hours of recording where this is all I got, just the audio, no visual. That was unexpected. So there were a few things that went on in that time. We got some Rexes breeding up from our 2, and here we're just raising up some new breeders with the top stats, a male and a female. We got an Achatina tamed so we can get that cementing paste. Got a Ken bench down, another Thylacoleo just to add to the crew. We have another Megatherium, so we now have a breed pair of Megatheriums. And we started getting the imprints on the baby Rexes. We also tamed a Quetzal seen in the top there in the time that we lost the footage, although it wasn't the same Quetzal that I had the footage of. We continue to get imprints onto the baby Rexes, but this one wanted superior kibble, which I don't have yet. So we used the little cryo exploit to get something that we could do, and this time it was as easy as a walk. And its sibling also wanted a walk, so we took it on a walk too. I also put down a second tree platform. I wasn't quite producing enough sap for the sweet veggie cakes, so I put another one down so I could place more taps and get more of that sap going. Also got the Megatheriums breeding, and we started getting baby Megatheriums. In the time of lost footage, we'd also tamed up some Ovises and some Equus. So I put them in the paddock that was specifically made for them earlier in the season. Cryoed up the original breeder Rexes so that I can start with this new line and automatically have the perfect genetics on both parents. We also got the last imprints on both of these juvenile Rexes, so we can get the 100% imprint. I have heard that imprints help with mutations. I don't know how true it is, but I figured it couldn't hurt to get the imprints anyway. So we did make sure to get all the imprints on all our breeders. with these last imprints, that got us all the way up to 100%. And we got some more eggs incubating and got the imprint on the baby Megatherium, which was super simple with a cuddle, and immediately got it to 100% imprint. And we placed down the extra sap taps that I was speaking about earlier. I also made a little bridge connecting the two platforms because I can jump from the higher of the two platforms to the lower, but I can't jump from the lower to the higher. So I made a little bridge so I don't have to get back onto the RG every time. It did take a little bit of fiddling just to make it work the way that I needed it to, but eventually I got there in the end and we've got something that is fairly serviceable. We got some more baby Rexes on tame, specifically females. I'm looking to just build up the breed group for this baby. Unfortunately, all the males got this particular treatment. Kind of have to be a little bit ruthless when creating a breeding program, unfortunately. There were also a couple that kind of starved before I got to them. We also continued breeding up the Megatheriums. The next several hours of gameplay were just spent breeding Rexes, hatching the eggs, and getting the imprints on whatever perfect females I could get out of there, just to try and increase the number of females so that I have a better breed pool. And this one wanted cooked prime meat and I almost forgot that I had it, but I do have it, so I don't have to cryo it and I can get that prime meat for it. We got twin baby Megatheriums, which I thought was pretty cool. Unfortunately for these guys, as I was going to get some meat to put on them, they starved. And the wolf that was standing by them harvested their remains. At least they won't go to waste. And I got the first mutation, which had this really neat pink colour to it. Unfortunately, it was a weight mutation, but I really like the colour, so it got cryoed up anyway. popped a refrigerator down by our hatching area so that only fertilized eggs can go into this space. Honestly, it makes it so much better than trying to have the fertilized eggs either on my body or inside. I also decided to demolish the little paddock that I had here for the Equus and Ovis. I wasn't really feeling it, so I moved all of them out of the way and made a start on a little stables, I suppose you'd call it. I didn't really have a design in mind for this. I kind of just want to create rooms that I could put the horses and the sheep in. So it did change a bit as I was making it. But I did end up with something that I was kind of okay with. Still not entirely happy, but we will get there. Once I had it made up to a point that I was kind of okay with it, I popped everyone in, kind of ignoring the risk of cryo sickness. I didn't really care, but I kind of thought it was a bit funny how they just kind of collapse on their side. But what really made me laugh were these Ovis. I'd never seen a cryosick Ovis before, and this was... I sat there for ages just laughing my face off. And eventually we'd bred up enough so we had a tiny little army of Rexes for our big breeding program. I also decided to tame up some dodos so that I can get the eggs to make some simple kibble. So I punched this one out, tamed up the Phaeomia that had been wandering around, which was super easy because it was low level, but I really liked the look of it, and apparently I'm a sucker for some pretty colours. I also tamed up this dodo, punched it out, and got some food on it, and got all the dodos together into a little nest so that they can produce some eggs. As I was flying around trying to get some resources, I spotted this level 104 fairy, so decided that it was going to come join our team too. So it ate a few trank arrows, and I made some bad calls. I thought I'd had enough arrows at it at the time, and I really did not think it'd be able to hit me this far, but the swamp was kind of the last place I wanted to be. when trying to tame a theory. The risk of cat pros and the like is a little bit uncomfortable. I seem to struggle to actually get a shot landed on this thing once I got back up here. And it looked like it was running, so it wasn't coming after me. But eventually its torpor dropped enough that it did end up deciding to come back and have another go. Once it was on the run, all I had to do was chase it down and put a couple more arrows in it, and eventually it was knocked out. But this psycho thought it would have a bite, so it had to be disposed of as well. I was also up getting some more sap and honey from the trees and spotted this purple Carcharodontosaurus. So I decided a racer could be worth joining the team. Even though I don't think it's been used at all, ever. But we got it knocked out, and as I was flying back from putting stuff on it to get it tamed, I got cat-proed and micro-raptored. Because the redwoods are a super fun place to be. I kind of decided to just spend the rest of the time sitting up here where it was safe. I came home and a theory was trying to eat my other theories. And the neutral whistle kind of caused some chaos. Theory was tamed, so we got it cryoed up, and on our way back we also cryoed up the racer. We got home and threw the racer and the theory out so that they're set up and ready to go. And I was out on another resource run and found a Cacha. I'm not going to leave this thing behind. This is going to be so good for late game. So we just sat here and watched it annihilate the wolves that it was fighting at the time. And just fortunately, I had some cryoed up baby Rexes just sitting on the RG. I'm not even entirely sure how they got on the RG, but they're there. So we use those to get the trust meter up. Now it's worth adding, I've never tamed a Cacha ever before this moment. I was really nervous, and it kind of showed with how much I struggled even just to kill a dang baby Rex. So I got the first one out and accidentally hit it too many times and harvested it. It's not what I intended to do, but it is what happened, so it meant that I had to get another one out and kill another one. Poor baby Rexes, but it is what it is. Then I had way more of an issue than was reasonable trying to drag this Rex down the hill. It did not want to be food for this Cacha. I swear, Ark was not cooperating with me this day. So I finally got to the point where I had the body down by the Carcha. It did its little sniff thing and I couldn't let go of the body. And I really thought I was going to die. I was so nervous. But I managed to let go, managed to get away, and the one was all I needed for that trust meter. So I made sure to have a very quick trip down so I could get onto this Cacha and start the process. One thing about being up in the mountains as well is this thing takes full damage. And there's a long way to fall. There was a couple of times where I really thought I was in trouble because of how far I fell. But me and this Cacha got along fairly well and we started to just keep killing absolutely everything in sight. Because the snow is so full of things that want to fight back, the taming effectiveness on this thing just kept plummeting. But it was a 116 to start with, so I feel like that was a fairly good start. I got really lucky with the level on this thing. It was also here in the tree line, I kept getting stuck on trees. And I was very aware of the little countdown on that top right hand corner. And I was just a little bit nervous about getting kicked off and killed by this thing. Once I got here, out of the tree line, around kind of this bank area, it did make it a little bit easier and progress was a bit nicer. I got to this point where I was super close to having this thing tamed, and if I'd gone down towards the beach, I absolutely would have had it tamed super fast, but there was a whole lot of nope over there, so I kind of decided to go elsewhere, so it took an extra probably 10 to 20 seconds to get it tamed than it would have, but we still had plenty of time and we're on 99%, so I wasn't concerned. I just really didn't want to get kicked off when it was done taming into the middle of what was going on down there. And it was finally tamed and I felt like I could breathe again until I realized that I didn't have a saddle for this thing. And coincidentally I'd gone over the Carcha note, so as I tamed it, it started playing, which I thought was kind of cool. But now I'm stuck in the snow without a ride, and my RG is ages away. I thought about going back to it, but there's no way I'm getting back to that without dying. So I thought I had to try and at least try and get home.
Like its namesake, the great white shark, Carcharodontosaurus gets more dangerous once it tastes blood. Each kill seems to give these monsters a rush and drive it into a berserker frenzy. Anyone that manages to tame a Carcharodontosaurus will gain a new way to rally their tribe for battle. There's something about this monster's roar that drives others to fight. A war cry for Hell's own army. The more tactical tribes will let their Carcharodontosaurus tear through the mid-sized creatures in their enemies' ranks, thereby building up its blood rage to take on the largest threats. Huh. Talk about shock and awe. Huh.
I was just fortunate that I had quite a few parachutes on me and a handful of grapples, so I was able to stay off the ground, away from the predators for a decent amount of the time. But there were times like this where the grapples just did not want to cooperate, and I kind of wasted a few doing this sort of thing. I should have hung on to them and rationed them a bit better, but I didn't realise how few I had at this point in time. Was also fairly fortunate that I'd had my shotgun made up fairly recently, so I'd managed to have that on me as well. I would have been dead without this thing. And as any semi-seasoned Ark player knows, running around in the snow on foot is a bad idea. These wolves were bent on making sure I didn't forget that. And for the second time in as many episodes, I was half naked in the snow. It's exactly what you want to be seeing, right? I got as high as I possibly felt like I could so that I could use my parachute again. Unfortunately, these trees were kind of not entirely helpful in trying to get along. And with my last grapple gone, and no momentum left for the parachute to send me on my way, the rest of this journey had to be made on foot. This time I wasn't stopping to fight the wolves, because those last lot nearly took me out. I'm just glad that you can still level movement speed in ASE. But then, suddenly in the distance, I could see home. It was so close. I couldn't believe it. I just had to get past the muck that was standing between me and it. With my nerves absolutely frayed, my parkour skills were kind of non-existent. So in the water I went a number of times, unable to land the jumps onto the little icebergs floating along, but we had gotten out of the snow onto the shore just outside home. I just had to hope there were no raptors or anything that decided they wanted me for lunch, because I was so close. The gates of home were right there and I just had to get through. And I almost couldn't believe it, but here I was home. I was safe, and somehow I didn't get eaten. So we put down the Carcha and gave it the best name I could think of. Then I realised that my Archie was still in the snow, so we set off to go pick that one up. On the way we found this bright red Ovis that we decided to take home. I wasn't going to complain with that as long as I could get my RGs home safe. It took me a little while to remember where I'd put it, but thankfully there's the little H key which you can use to find your tames in a tough spot, and it was right there. So, got it whistled, got it following us, and made our way home. Thanks for watching this episode, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us out so much. Thank you so much.